Best Daily Podcast. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. I want to thank you guys for subscribing. We're blessed enough to have a good friend of the podcast on again, Chris Slone of the Mountain Mysteries. How you doing tonight, sir?
Doing great, Seth. Thanks a lot for having us back on. I appreciate it. And I'm a fan of your program too. Fan of what you do.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate that. Definitely a big fan of what you do by giving a voice to literally the voiceless, because the dead is the voiceless.
That is what makes us go. That is our focus point. Said from day one, the Mountain Mysteries is about the people, and we will continue to be for as long as we do this.
Absolutely. And I know you just did a podcast on a little boy that went missing here in Knott County back in 1980. What was Holland?
Yeah. His name, yeah, that was one that really kind of threw me for a loop. And answers there seem to be so obvious that it's not even remotely funny. His name was Kelly Holland Jr., and he was about 6 years old when he went missing. It was February of, I think it was 1980, and it was a snow day. Well, most kids look forward to snow days. Hell, they get out of school. That's a day off. And on this particular day, Kelly had he had a few little medical issues, had a cleft palate, nothing that is disconcerting, but he also had asthma. And anybody who's ever suffered from asthma or any kind of lung disorder will tell you cold weather does not mix. So he wanted to go outside and play, and apparently he kept irritating his mom, or hey mom, hey mom, hey mom, 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 that kind of thing. You know how kids do. Until she finally gave in and said, yeah, okay, you can go outside, but don't be out there long. Well, I'd like to know what the hell her definition of long is, because she let him out about 11 o'clock. And at 5 o'clock, went looking for him. That's what, by my estimation, somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 hours. I remember when I was a kid, my mother wouldn't let me outside like that for no more than 30 minutes because you get cold, you get frostbite.
Yeah, that's
Anyways,
definitely odd.
it is. And she goes looking for him, and she just makes the assumption he's probably down at a friend's house watching the Dukes of Hazzard. Turns out Kelly loved that show. Would you make an assumption with your child? Oh, they're okay. It's 34 degrees. It's snowing like crazy, but they're outside playing. They're okay. No, you probably wouldn't. I wouldn't. I don't make, and I never made assumptions with my daughter. I was a single dad from the time she was 6 months old, and now she's 20, and I'm still a single dad. I've got no problem with that because God knows I stay busy with everything else. But this woman lets it go. Then come around 5:30 or 6 or whatever, she makes dinner, tries to call him in again, and no answer. She eats and then goes looking for her child. Goes down to where she thinks he is, and guess what? The parents look at her and say, we've not seen him all day. We don't know where he's at. So she goes to the child's grandparents' house. Now, whether or not it's maternal or paternal, I don't know. But they say, well, you can't use the phone until midnight. All of a sudden, I am getting this, yes, exactly, that look that says, oh, shit. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, wait a minute. Number one, this is their grandkid. And why is it that you have a moratorium on telephone usage up until midnight? They probably didn't. So she goes back at midnight and calls the Kentucky State Police or whoever it is, and they get a trooper down there as fast as they can. Now, it was not like, and I was born in 1971. I remember 1980 really well. Uh, it was not like it is now. Where I live, I can call Post 9 in Pikeville and probably have a trooper here in under 10 minutes. Back in those days, though, overnight shift, it was hard to get people, and they didn't have a lot of people working because things weren't quite as bad as they are now. But anyways, trooper finally shows up around 3. They go looking. He looks. He calls in a search and recovery crew, a team. And because of the snow and and all this other stuff, their efforts are hampered. Any tracks that this kid would have left behind have been covered up. So we fast forward, he would be 45 years old today. So this is 41 years later. He would be 45 years old today. And to this day, nobody knows where the hell he's at. And And to me, it screams bullcrap. The story that we know that has been documented, and there were certain parts of that story omitted. Like allegedly, he got together with one of his buddies about 4 o'clock in the afternoon and went down to this little country store. You know the kind. Well, maybe not so much anymore, but there used to be these little country stores everywhere, and apparently they walked down there to get a snack or something. And the police admitted that from the report. And the reason that we think they did was because it turned out that the child that told them that had got his days mixed up. It wasn't that particular day in February that they got together and did that. It may have been in January or something like that, or a few days before he went missing. But anyways, that part was omitted from the report. We managed to find that out. But if you want my 2 cents worth on that, the whole thing stinks of lies. And it's like any detective will tell you. And I'm not a detective. I have never been a detective. I just kind of have a bullcrap sensor.
Didn't the aunt say that?
Yes. The aunt came forward and said, look, his mother killed him and wanted me to help her bury the body. But then she retracted that statement. Why would anybody do that?
Paid off, maybe?
Or threatened. The aunt has since died, and I understand it was a few years ago that she passed away. I don't know the status of the mother now. I can tell you that she got married very young. I think it was at 14.
Lives in
Or she
Jackson.
quit.
I don't know if I could. Should I? I can't say the location where she lives, can
I? Well, you can tell it. I know she was in Knott County.
She don't live in Knott County no more. It said in the report that she lives in Breathitt County somewhere.
Oh, okay. Well, if she's in Breathitt County somewhere and it's in the report, it's a matter of public record. So, yeah, she's living in Jackson or Canoe or wherever. But I can tell you that there's just a lot of stuff there that don't add up. I can tell you, in episode 29 of the Mountain Mysteries, it's called Bring Them Home. It's available now on Spotify, Apple, about anywhere that you want to find a podcast. And it's called Bring Them Home. And it's 3 different stories, including Kelly Holland Jr., Crystal Branham Hall, and of course, Candy Green Gonzalez, who is a very, very, very recent case here in Floyd County. Last time she was saw was June 1st of this year.
Wow, that wasn't that long ago at all.
Well, we dropped a bombshell on the Mountain Mysteries gatherings Thursday night. I have a very reliable source that tells me that she is, in fact, deceased and in a coal mine, set up in a manner to which she's not readily visible to anybody that happens to be passing by on a 4-wheeler or a razor or something like that. And this person has an inside track on a lot of this stuff. Whether or not they have actually found her yet, I don't know that. I can tell you that the information that this individual parted with makes perfect sense when you align the rest of the facts. Have I released everything I know? No, I have not. Why? It's an ongoing investigation. I don't impede investigations. I try to assist investigations. Here's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see the son of a bitch that killed her thrown under the ground. And I've got a pretty good idea. Most people say one thing, some people say another. It's like asking a classroom full of kids, what do you want for Christmas? You're going to get different answers everywhere you look. And different people have different opinions, and that's their right. But I don't form opinions. I look at the facts of the case based on what we know to be the facts. Of course, facts and opinion often get intertwined, especially when somebody gets emotional. We don't need emotion in this case. We need facts. We need brains. We need minds. And if you want my opinion, I do think that Miss Green is deceased, as much as I hate to say that. But I tell you what's even worse. Seth, have you ever lost somebody you love?
Yep.
Do you know where they're laid to rest?
Yep.
So you've got a place to go and pay your respects, to mourn, to show love, to show kindness. Well, Candy's mother doesn't have that. Heather Teague's mother doesn't have that. Sarah. I've met Sarah. Kelly Holland Jr., his family, some of them, Don't have that. Crystal Branham Hall's family don't have that.
Who is that exactly?
Crystal Branham Hall was, they called her a red. She was from Pikeville, Kentucky, specifically. Well, not Pikeville, but Pike County. She lived around the Elkhorn area. And well, she was from the Elkhorn area and lived in Pikeville. I'm sorry. Had an apartment. Now, I want you to imagine this, if you will. You're on the phone with somebody that you care about. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a girlfriend. Maybe it's whoever. You care about them. Well, you hear this. Somebody's knocking on the back door, and you hear it. And your friend says, wait a minute, somebody's coming in the back door. I'll be right back. And you never hear from them again. Oh, well, that would be Crystal Branham Hall. That's exactly what happened. Now, Crystal, in my opinion, I did not know these people, but I feel like I get to know them when I do these episodes. Crystal was a good person. She had her demons that she fought. She had issues with substance abuse, narcotics. That is never an easy thing to fight and win over. Anybody that knows anybody with it will tell you that. But she had enough love for her children that she actually turned over her children to their grandparents, to their grandmother, and said, look, I cannot be the kind of mother that they deserve right now. I need help while I work on myself. So she put down, I don't want to say put down, she temporarily gave up the two things that she loved the most in this world so she could work on being clean, so she could be the mother that they deserved. And she was on that path. That's why I say, don't ever judge somebody. I actually had somebody look at me once, and we were getting ready to do an episode on somebody who had a drug issue. And they said, well, who the hell cares about them? They're a drug head. They're a meth head. They're a pill head. And I turned white. I looked at them and I said, don't you ever say that bullshit to me again.
Was it a viewer?
Huh?
A viewer?
No, it was actually not a viewer. It was somebody that was bringing me parts of information. And I asked about this person. I said, do you know this person? And they said, well, who cares about them? I said, don't you ever say that shit to me again. Let me tell you something. Who the hell are you to determine who is worth it and who is not worth it? One person is no more worthy than the other. They are all worth it. Every one of them. I am staunch about that when I started this thing, and I'm even more steadfast in that now. Every human being is worth it. I don't care if they had a problem. They were addicted to something. Well, guess what? So am I.
I'm addicted to Mountain Dew.
And if I had my bottle of Jack Daniels in here, I'd raise that up too, but I'm not drinking tonight.
Here's what I'm addicted to, Mountain Dew.
Yeah, everybody's got a vice of some kind. A vice is a vice is a vice. Some are more serious than others. Yeah, I get that. I don't think that chew or coffee or Mountain Dew is going to, and I am not an alcoholic. I grew up with a father who became a recovering alcoholic. And when he did that, he became the man that became my hero.
That's awesome, man.
He was one of the most incredible men I'd ever met. He quit smoking and drinking within 2 months of each other back in 1997 and didn't touch it again until after my mom died. And then he was gone 33 days later himself. So he knew he was on his way out. And it's like he said, if you were me, what would you do? I said, I'd act accordingly. I said, I love you, Dad. I said, but I know where this is headed. I knew it because they think The Notebook. That was my parents. And I'm not kidding you. Every once in a while, when they argued, it was hell on hinges being broke loose. But man, did they love each other. They just couldn't do without each other. And when Mom left, I knew he was right behind her. And guess what? Oh my God. Yeah, it happened. And case in point, in fact, we are from Slones that are out of Knott County years ago. So there's probably some Slones in Knott County that I am distantly related to. And
everybody
there's a lot of Slones there. Yeah, there are. And you know what? I've been, in my career in broadcasting, I've been to Los Angeles, New York. I've been all over the place. And the first thing, when I say, they say, where you're from? Where are you from? I said, Kentucky. So, well, you don't sound like you're from Kentucky. I said, you mean I don't sound like these? I said, let me tell you something. There's more talent in the 5 or 10 counties immediately surrounding where I grew up than there is in Los Angeles in its entirety. I said, just because Diane Sawyer comes down here on Dateline 2020 and shows the worst of it, nobody's ever come down and shown the best of it. There's places in Knott County, Floyd County, Johnson County, Pike County, Martin County, Magoffin that are absolutely beautiful. And you show the people out here that yeah, and they show people out there that they call holler bucks that or creek gypsies that have, and that's what some of them call it. And that pisses me off to no end, because those same people are the first ones that'll come to you when you're in need. Even you, Diane. So, you can be an uppity little snooty whatever all you want, because I will take the people in Eastern Kentucky over the people in a lot of places just about any day. They're good people here. Do we have our problems? Yeah. Do we have our problems here? Yes. Oh, you're telling me that you don't in LA, that you don't have problems in New York? We've got problems everywhere. And when you look, that's all you see. But when you start to look for something different, something better, I guarantee you'll find it anywhere, whether it's in Eastern Kentucky, Los Angeles, or wherever. Yeah, I've been to Beverly Hills.
Doesn't Los Angeles have poop everywhere?
Los Angeles has a bunch of shit everywhere. I mean, it's everywhere you look. And but don't get me wrong, I met some really extraordinary people while I was out there. In my career with Q95, I got to hang out with Eddie Money, Taylor Dane, got to hang out with Brett Michaels, got to hang out with a lot of these people. And these Taylor Dane was, Eddie Money was a great guy. I got to sing with him when I drove him back to Charleston to catch a flight to his next gig. Brett Michaels, one of the coolest cats you'll ever meet. And, he's one of these guys that could walk around and strut and be stuck up, but he is not. He is appreciative of everything he's got, even though he has earned it. And he is the American dream. You work hard, you get good at something, you get paid well to do it, and it's entertainment. I think that's what you strive for in your podcast. It's what I certainly strive for. My big connection with what we do with the Mountain Mysteries is to bring these people to the forefront so others don't forget them, because they don't have a voice anymore. Who appointed me? That would be Sharon Barron, April's mother, April Pennington's mother. And from there, my initial thought was, I'll do 3 or 4 episodes and that's it. I'll go on living my life. I'll work. I'll ride my Harley. I'll do this and that. This thing took on a life of its own. So that tells me that apparently God had other plans. And my mother used to say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him about your plans. Well, I guess she was right, because here we are now, right before you and I began this evening. I was wrapping up episode number 30 of the Mountain Mysteries, and we've got another 45 to 50 lined up. So we're going to be around for at least March 5th. We'll make a year since the initial episode debuted. And actually September 20th made a year since we started with the idea. So we've passed that 1 year mark. So to me, it's an honor when a family comes to me and says, will you tell the story of our loved one? Yeah, absolutely. What do you charge to do that? Nothing. I wouldn't call it a public service. I would call it a responsibility and an honor for me to tell the story of somebody that you love so much, a family member, a spouse, brother or sister, take your pick. So, excuse me. That's kind of where we stand at with it today.
Absolutely, man. And I know that you have covered a lot of cases here in Eastern Kentucky, man. Which one was the hardest one for you to do that made you tear up the most?
That is going to be a split decision. It's going to be between April Renee Pennington and James Dwayne Lovelace. I knew April, and I did not know Dwayne, but I know his family. I know his dad. I know his stepmom. I know his grandma. And you couldn't ask for better people. And they reside in Breathitt County. And if you listen to that episode, which is entitled A Lake of Tears, I believe it's episode number 7. a lake of tears. Dwayne drowned in Wolf Lake. Well, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that he drowned. But how did he drown? You're talking about a guy that could swim across that freaking lake with, rocks tied to his ankles. He was a great swimmer.
Oh.
And there's other mitigating circumstances there too. I'd ask you to listen to the episode to hear that. But let's just say that it pointed very clearly to certain people. And after the fact, their story kept changing and they began to avoid the family. And to this day, I do not think that he accidentally drowned. His COD was determined as death by drowning. And if I'm not mistaken, they put accidental drowning, which I just do not agree with that. But people can say, well, you didn't know him. How could you get so teary-eyed? When you listen to that interview that Marie Lovelace and Herbie, his dad, and his stepmom, Marie, when you listen to those interviews, you got to remember I'm sitting across the table from these people. They've got microphones right there in front of them, and I've got one. I'm the only one that's not absolutely losing it during this thing, because I warned them. I said, look, I'm going to ask you to relive the most horrible freaking day of your life, June 8th, 2020. You're going to tell me what you were doing when you got the call. And sure enough, as predicted, when it happened, the interview was rolling, and I said, tell me about that day. And Marie was looking down like this, and she looked up at me. And you just saw it coming. She tells me about how she was outside mowing her lawn, living her life, doing what all of us do, not expecting this to happen. She gets a phone call from a friend. Marie, where is Dwayne? She said, well, he's with his daddy cutting tobacco. Well, we just heard about somebody drowning at the lake. So just to be on the safe side, or Mildred, I'm sorry, her grandma's name, Mildred. Mildred calls Herbie, Dwayne's dad. Dwayne was supposed to be there cutting tobacco, but he took off to go to the lake. Mildred said when she heard that, her heart dropped to her ankles. Literally, she said she could feel her heart plummeting. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Please don't let it be, don't let it be, don't let it be. Well, it was. Took him a couple of days to find him, and he was so many feet down. And that changes things. And when the tears started flowing, Herbie, his dad, couldn't even talk, because I asked the question, if you could say anything to him right now, what would it be? Because I do believe in the afterlife. I believe exactly what the Bible tells us. To be absent in the body is to be present with the Lord. So that tells us that life goes on. And anybody that knows anything about physics knows that energy cannot be destroyed. It simply changes. So,
I'm a former ghost hunter, man. I was a ghost hunter for 5 years.
yes, as a matter of fact, I'm going to be, I'm fortunate enough that I was invited to be a guest on a podcast.
Oh, the Spooky Family?
I was on the Spooky Family with Elliot, Gert, and Beagle was not feeling well at the time. So I hope to get together with him and just kind of pat him on the back, maybe buy him a hot dog and a beer, because yeah, I just like the guy. But this one is, I'm actually getting with these guys tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
And you're familiar with these guys. And I'm so tired right now at this particular moment. Forgive me, but if you'll hear to chew bubblegum, I think that's the name of the podcast.
They're definitely best. They're
great guys.
Some of the best guys out there, man. They're definitely friends of the podcast, and definitely
they are
excited to announce that I'm going to have a segment called The Mysterious Appalachian Mountains, where me and a Bigfoot researcher, Earl, read about 4 or 5 minutes of Bigfoot.
Earl's a great guy, and he knows his stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. Me and him are reading. I'm reading stories and getting his opinion on it and giving mine as well.
Mm-hmm.
Bigfoot and other cryptid stuff.
Well, that's just another reason for me to listen.
Absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. Definitely.
It is. And, in the end, and with this particular podcast that we produce and we put together, I can't always say it's fun, but I can say it's always fulfilling. You know, there's days I walk out of the studio and I feel like the life has been sucked out of me. And I've had some strange things happen while doing these and
Are you
producing.
talking about the also I want to give a shout out to here to Bubblegum and shout out to Spooky Family as well. And are you talking about paranormal stuff?
Yes.
Wow.
I had a we'll say she's gifted. Her name is Stacy, and I absolutely love her. She is beautiful. She is sensitive. She is just one of my dearest and oldest friends. I've known her since I was 8 years old, and I'm 50. She told me that there are those that surround me. This is not the first person to tell me that. I actually had a psychic medium tell me the same thing. And I wasn't sure I believed in that. I mean, I believe that people may have gifts, but I didn't know, I mean, how do I, well, you say you do, but do you really? Oh, well, this one did. She identified my great grandmother.
Wow.
She identified my great grandfather, Emmanuel. She identified my grandparents. And this woman was from Ashland. She had no idea who I was. Pretty much, excuse me, she pretty much told me about my life up until that point.
Wow.
And she came into play because I was having experiences of my own that I could not explain.
You think she would do the podcast?
Yes, I'm sure she would. Stacy or Kelly, either one. Kelly was the first one I encountered.
Absolutely. As a ghost hunter, I actually know some. I will tell you, man, psychics are definitely real. They know what they're.
They are,
Some
but
of
there's
them,
also charlatans out there too. You got to
yeah, some
watch
of them
that.
do it for money, for
Yeah.
sure.
But Kelly came down from Ashland and absolutely didn't charge me a thing. She said, if you want, let's get something to eat, and you can buy something to eat and maybe a pizza. So she came down, she identified that. That was my first experience with one. And she told me, she said, whatever it is that you're supposed to do, it's going to be pretty big. I said, why do you say that? She said, most people have a spirit guide or a guardian angel, whatever you want to call them. She said, you've got 3. She said, that's a big deal. And I said, maybe it's because I'm so damn reckless. And at the time I was. I mean, you're talking to a guy that got chased by the cops down South Lake Drive in Prestonsburg on a Honda CBR doing 105 mile an hour.
That's a story in its own.
Why did you do that? They said, because I could. I said, and then I almost went to jail. And then I never did that again. Now I've got a Harley Davidson Road Glide, which is like sitting on a Barca lounger with a damn rocket strapped under it. And I don't do 105 miles an hour anymore. Well, I take that back. When I first got it, I had to see what it would do, of course. But now these days, it's more like 60, 65 on the open roads. Interstate, of course, 75 and 80. And it does that and it don't even breathe hard. It's like, so, but yes, I am 50 and I'm a little bit smarter now than I used to be. So I don't quite ride like that. But at any rate, back to the psychic thing. Stacy is very gifted. She uses a thing, and as a paranormal investigator or former paranormal investigator, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called the portal.
Oh God!
It allows voices of deceased loved ones. Or
are you talking about the ghost box?
This is above and beyond the ghost box. It's a new version. Are you talking
about the radio thing, like this big?
Yeah. This was actually custom built by the guy who built the ghost box, and he built this for Stacy, and he calls it the portal. And I actually heard my mother's voice.
Oh, I know what it is. Yeah. I've seen it on.
It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
Huff Paranormal on YouTube is the guy that created that, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Okay. I think so.
But it's the damnedest thing I've ever seen in my life. But I heard, and I know my mother's voice, and I know my dad's voice. I heard both of them come through. Said they were proud. Keep doing what you're doing. And all I heard mom say was, my son, bring it forward. And the only thing I could think of that meant was be their voice. Keep doing what you're doing. And we actually had her on the gatherings one night, and she's going to be back on. As a matter of fact, I'm hoping that she will become more of a permanent fixture with the Mountain Mysteries gatherings.
Host.
And we are actually going to have our viewers be able to come on. I will bring them on to the screen and allow them to attempt to communicate. But it's like I told Stacy, I said, you got to be careful with that.
You do.
She said, oh, absolutely. Because here's the thing. just like using a spirit board. You're a
That's
15-year-old
something I
girl.
won't use. I will not. That's one thing that my ghost hunting group would never use is a Ouija board. We would never use that.
No, I don't. I won't jack with it. But this goes in line with, you're a 15-year-old girl and you're talking to a 15-year-old guy on the internet and you want to meet up because he sends you pictures and he is so hot. Well, when you go to meet him, he's 46 years old, living in his mother's basement, 150 pounds overweight with stink breath and no hair. Oh, he's what you call a pedophile. Yeah, I like to see those sons of bitches thrown under a jail too. I've got a daughter. She's 20 now, happily married, thank God, to a great guy. I love him the same as he was my own. But this is what happens. Demonic entities will actually or often assume that they make you think, oh, that's the spirit of a child. Lorraine Warren herself told me that from Amityville, The Conjuring. Yeah, Lorraine.
That's facts.
We have got her on the Mountain Mysteries podcast too. That episode was actually, or the interview with her was conducted in 2009. And of course I saved it and we went back and re-edited it to make it an episode because people wanted to hear it. And she told me, she said, all too often they will come through and they'll do it. She said, let me throw a name out there for you. Annabelle. Oh, well, now I've got your attention, don't I? Yeah, everybody knows that the Annabelle doll looks like Raggedy Ann, smells like Andy. Well, that was not the ghost of a little girl. That was a demonic entity because most spirits of human beings will not infest something like an object. They will come to you. They will be in spiritual form. Maybe you hear a sound. Maybe you hear your name while you're in there making your bacon and eggs in the morning. You hear your name called. Something's trying to get your attention. And the best we can hope for is that it is a loved one just trying to let us know they are okay. My mind is always on my parents, even though I know now through the portal and because of Stacy, they are together and they are with God. What more awesome, glorious thing could you ask for? My parents are together. They are with the Creator. They are with Father. They are with our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I could not ask for more. I could not be happier about that. So my goal is to rejoin them one day with him, with my Father. But a lot of times demonic entities will come through and they will claim to be, oh, I'm a little girl. I'm Susie. I got ran over or I got killed when I was 8. Please let me in. 3 stages, George Warren said. It all starts with infestation. Then it goes to oppression, and then it goes to possession. I am not a demonologist, but I studied, because I had things at this time, and that's what we're going to talk about on here to Chew Bubblegum. We're going to talk about the Mountain Mysteries podcast, but yes, we are also going to, according to, I'm sorry, give me the guys' names again. Goose. Yes. Goose had said, I'd like to hear about your experiences with the supernatural. And is it Amityville? No, but it's still spooky as hell.
Yeah,
because there was anytime something happens like that to you and you can't explain it, it's different.
Absolutely. I got one of the biggest ghost hunter in Kentucky, who I used to go on their ghost walk as a kid on coming on the podcast in October. And I got an owner of one of a top 5 most haunted place in the state of Kentucky coming on as well.
Great. Well, who's the ghost hunter?
Patty Starr.
Yes, I've heard of her. I actually think, when we done an internet radio thing back in the early 2000s, probably around 2005, 2006, we had her on. She was good then, and you only get better with time. We also had Keith Age, people from, what is that place in Louisville? Waverly Hills. A lot of people get so excited about doing that. And what they forget about is the prayers of protection, which brings me back to the portal. I told Stacy, I said, before we let people on here, we need to make sure that something is not coming through that shouldn't. And she said, there are prayers of protection that we will say before the episode begins, because God is with you always.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
As a ghost hunter, you're supposed to pray before you even ask one question.
And the thing that, I really believe this, the thing that you got to remember about this too, is that prayers work only if you believe, if you have faith. Otherwise, you're just spitting words into an air. What was it? I forget the name of the movie of vampires coming up on a guy, yells up a cross, and he said, "Idiot, you got to have faith for that to work," and threw the cross down. But when the guy figured that out and he developed a little seed of faith, oh, that cross worked quite well. So we've got to have faith. The grain of a mustard seed. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Jesus told us, faith, the grain of a mustard seed, will move a mountain. And I believe him completely. It's not a belief thing for me. It's I know it. But yeah, she's looking at coming on to the gatherings. And, when people watch the gatherings, they still get it a little bit confused. And I get that, especially if you're new to us. The gatherings promote the podcast. It's just a video form. Will the Mountain Mysteries ever go to a video form? Yes, but it will not happen until it is the way I want it to be. And it will be the way that I want it to be, will pay respect and a certain homage to those that we've lost. And it will be very much kind of like we've already been compared by, I think, Elliot on the Spooky Family.
Yeah.
And several others said, this thing sounds like it's something straight off Dateline or a big major. And here we are in a Pantry Studio. I'm sitting in a studio right now whose dimensions, it has a 7-foot ceiling. It is 6 foot wide and about 7 foot long.
That's a studio you own, right? Pantry Studios.
It's a freaking box. But you know what? It's perfect for what I do in here. I've done 42 audiobooks on Audible and Amazon in here. I've done multiple radio station commercials all over the place in here. And I do the Mountain Mysteries, the Blurs, the gatherings in here. And now beginning October 7th, for 1 month only, every Thursday, we will be dropping the Mountain Mysteries Chills. And it's screwed up, allegedly real or based in real events, spooky stories. And some of the stuff is just really weird. Some of it is downright frightening, and some of it is downright, what the hell did I just listen to? So, I mean, that's the way it is. But we are going to do one a month for October.
Yeah, definitely. There is some of the moments where you say, "What the heck is that?" Like you're gonna tell me you seen Bigfoot jumping in the UFO with aliens and eating Burger King
and Mothman driving away. He was the man behind the wheel. Yeah. But if they're eating Burger King, they got good taste. I love BK. So it's but yeah, the back to your initial question though. If I had to pick between the one, it smacked me in different ways between April Pennington's case and Dwayne Lovelace's. But those were the two that really, really got to me. And they all get to you. That's why we did one, on, Black Mountain in Australia, Kalakahaka, which translates in Australian or in Aborigine to spear. Kalakahaka. There were people involved there that have gone missing and never been seen or heard from again. Yes, that's true. But you don't get as close to those as you do to people like Dwayne, Mamie Thurman, the ghost of 22 Mine Road. My daughter had experiences up there that she can't explain. She saw something.
Oh, she's been to Australia?
Oh, no. She was at 22 Mine Road. That's in Logan, West Virginia.
Oh, is that the road that you're supposed to go that takes you downward?
Yeah. When you put your car in neutral at the bottom of the hill, it'll actually roll backwards if you take your foot off the brake.
What's the story there?
Mamie Thurman was a socialite in Logan County, West Virginia. And in 1930, she was married to a beat cop. His name was Jack Thurman. At the time, there was a lot of money going through Logan. You're talking about the 30s, and you're talking about prohibition was somewhere in that neighborhood. And of course, there was speakeasies like there were everywhere else. But Logan County government was like most other governments. What is it they say? Absolute power corrupts, and it corrupts absolutely, or something like that. Anyways, it wasn't the straightest of administrations, I'll say that. Well, Mamie was what then they would call, what's the day that they would see? How would they put it today? Oh
A
yeah,
prostitute?
slut. No, she wasn't a prostitute.
Oh,
She gave it out.
oh,
Yeah. Some people would say that she was like the village bike. Everybody had a ride. I don't know if that's the case or not. I didn't know her, and I'm not going to disrespect her because regardless of what her preferences and her habits were, she was a human being and she was a looker. She was beautiful. Oh my God, was she beautiful. But Garland Davis, who was a deaf mute on what was then called, I think it was like, well, I forget the name of it now, but it's 22 Mine Road now, and it's not much bigger than a 1-lane road. But he was picking berries on a June morning in 1932 and found her with her throat slashed from ear to ear, a couple of gunshot wounds to the head. And of course, what's he do? Well, he calls the police, or he has someone call the police because he was deaf. So he has somebody call the police. Police get up there. Come to find out, they have this big trial. They convict Clarence Stevens, who was a black man. The color of his skin got him convicted. It was not his character. His character was good. There was a guy that Mamie was affiliated with named Harry Robertson. My money is on he did this thing. She had an affair with him. This goes on and on and on. And anyways, that's episode number 3, I think. And it's called The Ghost of 22 Mine Road, The Mountain Mystery of Mamie Thurman. And again, you can hear it on Spotify, Apple, you can hear it, wherever podcasts are found. But to this day, and my daughter has had an experience or two up there, to this day, it's said that you can be driving up that road because it's like a little access road that links one US 119 to another little side road that a lot of people travel to get home. But I remember I was at Q95 FM in Lawrence County. I mean, we had gone to Lawrence County for a bumper sticker thing, one of the fun and game things. And I remember talking to this coal truck driver at what we call the Castle. It's a Sunoco gas station, maybe a Marathon now or an Exxon Hill, I don't know. But it looks like a bird. It looks like a big castle. Anyways, I'm down there and I'm sitting in the back of the van just talking with listeners and thanking them for listening. And I have a friend there. I said, "You see that guy over in that coal truck?" I said, "Yeah." And he was getting out of his truck, going in to get him a bite to eat. He actually had Mamie Thurman in his cab. I said, "The hell you say?" He said, "Yeah, he did. At least he claims he did." So that my friend who was with me goes and gets this guy and has him come over and talk to me because I offered him a free Q shirt, a Q95 shirt, if he'd talk to me. I just wanted to see. Personal curiosity. He walks over and he says, "Yeah." I said, "Do you listen to Q95? He said, "Yeah, I listen." I said, "Well, would you care to answer a couple of questions for me?" He said, "About what?" I said, "Mamie Thurman." He turned white as a sheet and was white knuckling his lunch bag. He said, "That bitch is evil." I said, "How do you figure?" He said, "I looked, and he's got one of the coal buckets, coal trucks that had a sleeper in the back. Looks in his mirror going up that mountain to do whatever, going up that hill. And there she is." He said he blinked, got shocked, turned around, looked, and she wasn't there. I looked back in the mirror and there she was again. He said, "I can only see her in the mirror and I only saw her twice." He said, "But let me tell you, it was real." He said, "I know what I saw." He said, "And to this day, I will not take that run." So that's one of the legends. And I do have a tendency to believe this guy. He was down to earth. He had fear in his eyes when I mentioned her name. And you can Google it or Bing it, whatever. Mamie Thurman. And the pictures will put chills on your back. The Ghost of 22 Mine Road. It's episode 3 on the Mountain Mysteries. And we go into pretty decent detail with it, including the trial.
There, ain't you?
I've been there several times and chills. I have been there several times in the capacity of working with the radio station doing a Halloween special. Also went to Frozen in Breathitt County. That place makes you want to be someplace else. It's not only haunted or haunting and creepy, it is sad. And then we done an episode on that one, and it was called Frozen. And there was over 50 people, including babies, that lost their lives in that flash flood in 1939. Good people. And that's why we do these things, is to keep their memories alive. You know, when a natural disaster happens like that, like a flash flood with a 20-foot fall or 20-foot tall wall of water crashing through a small valley, that's nobody's fault. Call it an act of nature. But nonetheless, I don't think that those people should ever be forgotten.
They might not even know they're dead, actually.
Some may not. That's absolutely true. I understand that paranormal investigators think or believe that that is a theory. Why some people lingers because they don't know they've passed away.
Did you
It
know
happened
that
so
that's
suddenly.
why? Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're fine.
You're right, though. It happens so sudden they don't know that they're dead and stuff. But that could be why you tear up during talking about some of these cases and stuff. Their emotion, their energy could be making you cry and stuff. You feel
It's
the energy
entirely
they
possible.
felt.
That's what Stacy said. She said that she knows the spirit of April is with me. My daughter has actually seen her apparition in her home. And here's how that came out to play. We had gone to visit April's mom, where she lives now. She's very much like family. She is family. Sharon is. The night that April died, she was wearing this gold herringbone necklace.
Is that case
Beautiful.
still unsolved, or
The case has been reopened. But Sharon gave my daughter that necklace that April was wearing the night she died. My daughter has it in possession. In her
oh
possession.
God, you know that energy could be still attached to that object?
That's what she's hoping. That's what Allie wants, because she has had nothing but wonderful experiences since she has had that necklace. She feels, even, like if her husband's not around, she can feel April around her. And she said, I feel love and I feel peace and I feel like I'm protected. I said, that would be April. April was 5'2" and fought like a freaking WWE wrestler. If she thought somebody was being picked on, she had a soft spot for children, senior citizens, and handicapped individuals or special needs people. April had a big heart, and my God, she was beautiful. Think Snow White. That girl was nothing shy of it, and she literally was a teen beauty queen. She won competitions. I remember the first time I laid eyes on her, I just thought, wow. And she and I got to be friends. I was actually fortunate enough one time to have her walk up and put her head on my shoulder in high school. And she didn't call me Chris. She was country as cornbread and buttermilk. She'd say Chris. And I loved her. I loved that about her. I said, what's up, sissy? She said, I really don't want to be here. And I said, well, honey, none of us do, but let's just get through it and do it and go home. And it wasn't long after that she was murdered. And I still to this day believe I know the three that did it. And I hope they watch this, Seth, because like I have said on the Mountain Mysteries and the Mountain Mysteries gatherings, I will dog you until the day you die, until I see you thrown under a jail cell and rotting. And then after that, I may take a leak on you. What makes you think you have the right to take another human being's life? 3 things: motive, sex, money, or revenge. I think this was probably a couple. I think it was the sex and revenge is what led to April's death, because they wanted her boyfriend at the time. And they couldn't have him because he did have eyes for April, and that was it. Don't blame him, especially given the choices. April was a queen. These two, chokers. The other two. And then there was another guy involved. I do believe that to this day. I don't say names because I'm not in the business of accusing anyone. But if they ever are convicted in a court of law, I will scream their names from the mountaintop just to let everybody know who didn't know. So, yeah, I get a little, like I said last night on the gatherings, I don't know if you watched, but I said I've braced my soapbox tonight because I'm ready to go off like a Scud missile. And I did. Talking about Candy, talking about this little boy, 6-year-old boy. Who hurts a 6-year-old child? A sick, twisted individual. And if it's somebody in their own family, that makes it even worse. And then, of course, there's Crystal Branham Hall. I honestly think that had something to do with somebody that she ticked off somewhere. Maybe she owed money, maybe something, I don't know.
Is that
But
still unsolved as well?
it is still unsolved. All three of these cases are. Anybody with tips can call 433-7711, area code 606. That's Kentucky State Police Post 9, or 800-222-5555. That's a toll-free number, State Police. They will put you right at the post you need to be at. And I do have an absorbent amount of faith in the Kentucky State Police. I have several friends that are troopers. I have friends.
Did you? I'm sorry, I didn't
No,
mean
go ahead.
to.
Go ahead.
Because this stuff is definitely very interesting and talking about, and people need to hear it for sure. Because, like you said, you're the voice of the voiceless.
My biggest problem is I have a tendency to go off on tangents. That's why I write scripts for the actual podcast itself, because if I get going and I get ticked off, I will go until I get done with that point. So, yeah, once I learn how to rein that in, I'll probably be better. But yes, these things.
Has the Kentucky State Police, did you ever contact any of them about the Knott County case? Was they give you any information?
The Kentucky State Police are always very forthcoming with a good deal of information. That's why they have PAOs, or public affairs officers. They will release certain information. Of course, we have to understand that any investigation, be it cold or be it ongoing, they have to keep certain things to themselves, certain things that maybe only the killer would know. That way, if they come forth and say, yeah, I understand that they were wearing a particular brand of New Balance tennis shoe. Well, only the killer would know that. Who are you? I want to get to know you a little better. And, so they have never at any point, well, let me give you this inside information or this tip. They tell me pretty much what is basic knowledge, what is common knowledge. And I really like to have them, we record them saying it from their own mouths. And I like that because my purpose is not to impede an investigation. My hope is to assist in an investigation. And that was something else I talked about last night when people say snitch. That pisses me off to no end. So you would think differently. You're out here calling somebody a snitch. You'd think a little bit differently if it was your child that somebody came forth with information on, or your parent or your sibling. Maybe then you would get it. It's not snitching. It's assisting. It's a different kind of word. And, my thought is, if somebody, quote, snitches, then you were doing some shit you shouldn't have been doing to start with. Grow up and sound off like you've got a pair, make a living, do it the right way. That's my thought. But now the other side of that is, I know it sounds judgmental. I don't judge people, because again, I'm not going to judge somebody because they sin differently than I do. I am not perfect. God knows I screw up enough there was a time I broke 5 commandments each day before lunch. So, but thank God he's forgiving.
Absolutely. So you do think that there is people out there that have the information to solve each of these cases?
There's one thing that all these cases have in common. Somebody knows where they are at and who did what. The thing I ask is that they would grow the courage to come forward and report it. Tell law enforcement, tell somebody. And let me tell you something. This is the God's honest truth if I've ever heard it. Sooner or later, somebody will talk. Somebody will come forward. All it takes is one time. Well, Uncle Joe down the road got drunk last night and said he killed whoever. And that was back 20 years ago. Yeah, liquor loosens up tongues. And sometimes maybe other things do too. But people will talk. And that's exactly what we feel has happened is happening with Candy's case. Somebody has talked and said that she is no longer alive and she is in a coal mine somewhere. Where? I don't know, because let's face it, I know Eastern Kentucky only has one mine. We have one every 5 square miles. And even if they're not in operation, we've got more coal mines in Eastern Kentucky than you can check a stick at. I know that. We've got tons of them in Martin, Floyd, Pike, Johnson, Martin, McGoffin, Lawrence County. They're all over the place. And Which one? They never said. They never made clear. But my guess is if you start looking there, you're probably going to find her. So, but do I believe my source? Absolutely. Because this source I've used, I hate to say I've worked with this individual several times and they have not been wrong yet because they believe in what we're doing. And it's through what we do that we are growing. If somebody had told me, we have Trevor Huff now, who is a Knott County native.
It needs to come on, man. Trevor Huff needs to come on the podcast for sure.
I'm sure he would. Trevor's a great guy. He has been like a brother to me for more than 30 years or 20 years, whatever it's been. But I'm absolutely sure he was. He does musical scoring for us now and stuff like that. But he will tell you, and we was talking about it actually, I think this afternoon. I said, we've got listeners now in all these places. And I never would have guessed that, Seth. And Trevor said, it don't surprise me a damn bit. Really, he said, the way you tell these stories, he said, you're passionate, you're honest, you're sincere. And I am. I bring forth information that I believe to be factual based on the information that I've collected and based on the sources. Am I always right? No. But if I'm shooting to be right 90 to 95% of the time, that's acceptable to me. The most important thing is when I say these names, you know who I'm talking about. April Pennington, Mamie Thurman, Merrill Baldridge, Dwayne Lovelace, Crystal Branham Hall, Kelly Holland Jr., and that Candy Green Gonzalez. When I say these names, that people know who they are.
Who's that one girl that was sunbathing in the
Heather Teague?
I couldn't
in Henderson County.
Couldn't remember the exact name.
No, that's okay. That's Henderson County, and the name of that episode is Heather is Coming Home. And I think that's episode 27, maybe 26.
Yeah, that was my favorite episode of yours, man. The as much detail. I mean, there was a lot of the way your coverage of the case, man, and the
let me give you something that only our Patreon members know. This is something that only our Patreon members know. This is a behind the scenes thing. That interview with Sarah Teague, Heather's mother, was actually recorded in Heather's bedroom. Not at the kitchen table, not at the restaurant where I was going to buy her lunch for talking to us, because I do not pay for interviews, but I will certainly buy somebody a bite to eat. But that was recorded with me sitting in a chair and my arm leaned back on Heather's bed, talking to her mom. My daughter and my son-in-law were present. And my son-in-law, who thinks that he's got no business being on the microphone end of this thing, done a fantastic job with questions that came to him naturally. But that was a behind-the-scenes thing that very few people knew. We actually went out there and recorded that interview in Heather's bedroom. And she's been missing now for 26 years, August 25th, 26th, May 26 years. And let me tell you something. That was another one of those that wrenched my guts.
You have any sources on possibly what happened there?
Yeah.
I'm sure you can't say.
No, I can't reveal sources, but I can tell you it goes.
Oh no, I wouldn't ask you to reveal sources at all, man, because
it goes as high as judges. Law enforcement agencies are involved in covering some crap up because Heather had information on judges. And let's just say this. It's easy today to look at a 16 or 17-year-old girl and think she's 20, 22 years old. Wasn't that way when I was growing up, but it is now. Well, some of this involved sexual relations with underage girls that were around 16, 17 years old, and a certain strip club that I suppose certain members of law enforcement frequented. This was one of those cases where there were twists, turns, and rabbit holes everywhere you looked. And her mother made some accusations that at first, when you first talk to her, you think, well, that's crazy. Then you start digging up the facts and you think maybe she's not so crazy. Oh my God, maybe she's right. If you've not heard that episode, if your listeners have not heard it, check it out. It's the Mountain Mysteries episode. I think it's 26 or 27, but the name of it is Heather is Coming Home. And it's like, what does it say? It's like an hour and 10 minutes, something like that, hour and six, something like that. Yeah. And, you'll hear Sarah very prominently in that episode. And you will hear the pain. You will hear the heartache. You will hear the, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me moments. They're all over the place. And, the thing that always got me was the dude across the Ohio River in Indiana, whose big high-powered telescope happened to be trained right on Heather when she was sunbathing topless. She was laying on her belly. She wasn't there flaunting what she had, but she was laying on her belly. And you know what? If she wants to untie her bikini top to get her back tanned, that's her business. She's not breaking any laws. She's not exposing herself. And then some guy comes out of the woods that are nearby this little beach with a gun, grabs her by the hair of the head. She's never seen again. But this guy's story changed 2 or 3 times. And what the hell was he doing with a telescope trained on a beach that's that long and that wide? Oh, it just happened to be there. Bullshit.
He was trying to see, he was trying to look at women.
That's exactly what he was doing. And his wife was right there. Well, as far as I'm concerned, that's another point. Look, I've been married twice. It's not for me. But if I ever get married again, that's where my eyes are at. I don't have any desire to go elsewhere. Right now, I am in an ongoing committed relationship with a black Harley Davidson and a series of bad decisions. And that's okay. That's, but I quit looking at women as objects years ago, like the day my daughter was born. Now I look at them as human beings. They're people, which I should have been looking at them like that all along. But you know how teenage guys are. We don't really think about 2 things. And the second one is something to eat. So I'm 50 now. I think about a lot of things. I think about, what am I teaching my daughter? What kind of a difference can I make? Several times I've made an analogy on the Mountain Mysteries gatherings about how a pebble in a pond works. You toss a pebble into a pond, and that's a life. That life ripples and it affects everything. So my thought is, you can either be a pebble or you can be a freaking boulder. I want to be a boulder. If I can help a lot of people before I leave this world, then maybe I will have left something behind that's worth leaving behind. Because my mom and dad both always taught me, give more than you take. That's how this world should work. Right now, not so much. But I think each individual can work together and change that. You just got to want to do it. And if you just help one person, you've changed the world. One kind word, maybe you stop somebody from putting a gun to their head or drinking that poison because they feel like they're utterly alone and isolated. And you look at somebody that you don't even know and say, hey, hope you have a great day. You look really nice today. It's good to see you. How much did that cost you? No, it didn't cost you anything, did it? Being kind doesn't cost anything, but you reap rewards immensely.
Have you ever asked your psychic friends where the possible bodies of the people that you do research on?
No. I hate to be selfish with this, but here's the thing. The people I know that have gifts, I think Stacy is, I think that she is definitely empathic. And I think that she has a touch of clairvoyance. Kelly is full blown, and Stacy can communicate with those who have passed. I've seen it. It's crazy because I don't have that gift, and I automatically think that is just phenomenal. And when I say crazy, it's with the most respect, and it's in a good way, because that woman she's had this gift since she was a child. And she told me things about my mom and dad that nobody else would have known. There's no way, because when, these things about mom and dad, I got back together with Stacy. We reconnected a year after dad and mom passed. And she was telling me things about, she said, I see them. She said, your dad's this, and your mom's this. And she nailed it. And she said, they are both so proud of you. And I'm like, well, and then that was something I always questioned. after I lost them. They used to tell me that all the time, but after I lost them, am I doing right by them? And turns out apparently they think so. So, but I've long since said it's not my business what anybody thinks of me. I don't care what they think of me. The only people I'm worried about pleasing are my God, my Savior, and my parents. I please those, I figure I'm in pretty good company. And if I can help a family find peace, and it's something, Seth, I'm telling you, it's something when a grandmother or a mother comes up and they put their head right here and they're crying and they're saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You've got this thing. People are interested in my child again, or they're interested in my brother or my mom or whatever it is. That changes things. It changes your perspective as to why you do what you do. So coming next Friday, right before we got online tonight, I was working on wrapping up episode number 30. We should have that done very shortly. It's the mountain mystery. It's called The Lost Summer, episode 30. It's the mountain mystery of Summer, Utah Moon Wells.
Wasn't that in Tennessee?
Yes, sir. I was going to say, maybe you've heard of her. She was in Tennessee, a little 5-year-old girl, blonde hair, absolutely beautiful. And there are certain things that scream and point as to exactly who did it. And I'll be damned if they're not the ones out there actually doing this, pointing at themselves. And I'm like, well, okay, you just keep right on going. But that episode will be releasing next Friday, a week from today.
Do you think she's alive or deceased?
No, she's not alive. And certain people that are out there begging for people to find her, they know that. I'm convinced of it. They know she's dead.
Do you
know where she's at?
Wow, man. Do you think any of the cases that you have done, is any of them alive?
No. And it freaking breaks my heart. It kills me. Here's the thing. When you take somebody's life, you take away. Clint Eastwood, did you ever see the movie The Unforgiven?
Yeah.
God, I love Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, he makes great movies, man.
He's awesome. And I think he's a wonderful human being. But there's a line where he's talking to the Schofield kid in The Unforgiven. He said, funny thing, killing a man. You take away all he's got and all he's ever going to have. That's so true. Eastwood knows that. But you also take away all the impact, all the good they could have done for other people. Now, do I wake up every morning thinking, today I'm going to break out the S on my chest, show people I'm from Krypton, and fly away? No. But every morning I do wake up and I think, God, thank you for another day.
Absolutely.
Thank you for keeping me alive. Thank you for allowing me to take care of my brother who has special needs. Thank you for allowing me to have your love, your guidance, your friendship, your unconditional love in my life. And thank you for surrounding me with, my circle is very small, Seth, but I'm not fake. I've noticed something. When you're fake, you tend to have a pretty big circle of people around you. When you're not, well, that circle gets a lot smaller, and that's okay. I like my circle small.
Absolutely. You ain't lying, man.
But I wake up every morning thinking, what's going to happen today, and how can I become better than I was yesterday? And I think through this podcast, it has given me the opportunity to learn to become a better person. Man, woman, whatever. Whatever. People can choose to be better. It doesn't matter who you are. You can choose to be better than you were yesterday, or at least try to be. And you never fail so long as you try. You may fall, but as long as you get back up, you never fail. What did Sylvester Stallone say in Rocky Balboa? It ain't about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you get back up and keep moving forward. No truer words, I don't think, were ever spoken unless they come from the mouth of Christ. But in terms of movies, I love movies like that because they make me think. Just like the line Eastwood spat out in Unforgiven. You take away everything they've got and everything they'll ever have and everything they could ever be. That's what gets me. So when you ask if I think any of them are alive and I get choked up, because I see all that potential that's not here now. All because somebody was jealous or greedy or something, angry, whatever. It's sad.
Absolutely, man, and definitely prayers go out to everybody's family that and man, I got every case that you have that you've investigate. I don't know what's the word, investigate or cover.
Investigate, cover. Here's the kicker. I've got a full-time job, so I can't really get out there and do what I'd like to do the way that I know how to do it, because I still got to put food on the table, keep a roof over my head. Everybody understands that. But that doesn't mean I can't make phone calls. And that doesn't mean that when they're close enough. I mean, for Sarah Teague, I drove to Manchester, Kentucky, which from where I'm at is about an hour and 30 minutes. That's nothing to me. Hell, I can throw my Tascam recorder in the back of my
She was just
Harley.
in Manchester?
She does now.
Oh.
She does now. She was in Henderson County. When all that happened, that was in Henderson County, Kentucky. And after that, I think Sarah just needed to get away from that place. And who can blame her? Memories are powerful things. And those memory
she would
cells.
possibly be on the podcast?
She may. She quite possibly may. I mean, she was on mine. We didn't do a live video or anything with her, but yeah, I went up there and recorded her, and she was very kind, courteous, polite, and forthcoming. And she made no bones about it. She told, and I do believe her absolutely. She told 100% the truth, not her version of the truth. She told just the truth, because the truth is the truth. Now we can try to twist it and manipulate it, and for many people, the truth depends upon their own point of view. I'm one of those people that think the truth is the truth. A cat is a cat. A dog is a dog. They are not the same thing. There's black, there's white. Yes, is there gray? Yes, there is gray. But let's not get emotional. What did I say earlier? We don't need to be emotional. We need to be thinking. We need brains. We need our brains at work, not our heart. Our heart can come into play later. The heart's all over these episodes because I get downright pissed off sometimes. Sometimes I get very just upset because I knew April. I remember her putting her head on my shoulder. I did not know Dwayne. I did not know Mamie Thurman. I did not know Muriel Baldridge. Muriel passed away in 1946, I think it was. I did not know these people, but I feel like I did because I've gotten to know them so much in order to do the episodes. I feel like they're friends, and these people have become my family. They're all my extended family. Every person I do an episode, including Miss Heather Teague, who I've got to say was one of the most beautiful girls I'd ever laid my eyes on. Her pictures were just stunning. She was so pretty. And according to her mother, she was vivacious, spunky, which I like people like that. Guys and gals alike, I think it's cool when nobody will let themselves get run over. They know how to take care of themselves. Well, unfortunately, Heather just didn't have the grip that she needed at that time. And I do believe that she is probably in a well or a mine shaft or something. But the other side of that is there's never been a body recovered. So who's to say that she's not alive? But do I think she is? No. It's been too long. 1995 was a long time ago.
I wasn't even born.
Yeah. Oh, I was. I'd been around for a day or two. So but back then I was working at a country station, and I thought to myself, if somebody had told me I'd wind up doing this, which podcasts were a thing in 95, they just weren't really nearly as popular as they are today. They were just getting started. You had places like Podbean that people did their little podcast on. And it was normally like, today we're going to talk about underwater basket weaving. Well, I don't think I'd really be suited for that. So it's, but my daughter had been on to me for 2 years before I ever became, before we ever founded the Mountain Mysteries. And she said, Dad, you've done all these audiobooks. You've been in radio. You've done voiceover for TVs. And she said, you really need to do something in podcasting. I said, what the hell? I said, there's 10 million podcasts out there, 10 million subjects. And yeah, what would I talk about? Like Mom said, if you want to make God laugh, tell him about your plans. because apparently there was something for us to talk about. So here we are.
Absolutely, man. And this has been one of my favorite podcasts that I've ever done, and I know that you will be back on in October for sure. Definitely will have you back on in October, man. And
well, we appreciate being here, and we appreciate being on Seth's daily podcast. I love being on Spooky Family, and I'm sure that I'm going to love Here to Chew Bubblegum, because those guys just strike me as really well-grounded, kind, and generous and genuine people. And that's the kind of people I like. I cannot stand arrogance. It sucks. I like people that are down to earth. I like country folk. And yeah, I've got some big city friends too. I got buddies that live in New York. I got buddies out in Los Angeles. And they're great guys. They're great people. But I don't know. I just think that there's more talent in Eastern Kentucky than anybody outside of Eastern Kentucky ever gives it credit for. From musicians, and I'm not just talking about Chris Stapletons. I'm not talking about those guys. Yeah, I'm not saying Chris ain't good. He's a great singer. But Trevor Huff. How many live concerts have you done on Patreon? And these guys have talent.
About 4 or 5, and shout out to Tony Slone, man. He's one of the most talented people in this whole entire world, man.
That's what I'm saying. And he's where's he from?
Knott County.
Thank you, sir. He's from Eastern Kentucky. We've got talent here, Seth, all over the place. So if I can help bring that to life, then I will. But I will always say I am from Paintsville, Kentucky. That's where I was born. That's where I was raised. I live in Prestonsburg, Kentucky. That's my home. But Eastern Kentucky and its people, that's my family. So yes, we may do episodes on Kalakahaka in Australia, on Mount Fuji in Japan, or on Pikes Peak in Colorado. But when it comes to the people of Eastern Kentucky, we will do that always, because that's home. That's family. I cannot tell you how much we appreciate being on.
Absolutely, man. And I definitely appreciate you being on. And I want to give a shout out to the Mountain Mysteries podcast, Here to Chew Bubblegum, the Spooky Family, Talk Junkie with Justin Perkins, Down on the Holler with Jordan and Brad. And yeah, I think that's it.
But still, that's a lot of talent.
Yeah.
And I wish every one of them the very best of luck. And I know that great things will be done by them.
Absolutely, man. All of us podcasters around here are doing a great job, and we're killing it, man.
Absolutely. That's what we do.
Absolutely, man. And yeah, man, October on my podcast is going to be part of, like, we're going to be talking mostly cryptid. I am going to have one exception. Sorry, I've been doing a lot of talking and couldn't get the word.
Oh, it happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me, I know.
Mike Goldberg, who is the former UFC announcer, he's going to be back on in October.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
But besides that, it's going to be everything cryptid, man. And I would actually like to have you on and talk about the Point Pleasant Bridge falling in the Mothman incident.
The Silver Bridge. Yeah. 1966. Yep. Yeah. I'd be happy to. Just let me know when, brother, and I'll make time for it.
Absolutely. Would Friday be the best day, or the weekend, or weekdays best for you?
Normally, well, actually Fridays, Wednesdays, those are normally okay. Wednesdays and Thursdays, of course, Thursdays I have the gatherings, but Wednesdays I normally, I'm kind of pushing to get the next episode out, but we try to work at least 2 episodes ahead. That doesn't always fly, but we try. So, but as long as I'm getting them out there, Tuesdays for our Patreon folks, and Fridays for people to listen worldwide, that I'm fine with that. So like I said, I will make time.
Absolutely. I'll try to schedule it on a Friday for sure.
Okay, that's great.
Absolutely, that's great, man. Definitely want to thank Chris Slone for the Mountain Mysteries podcast. Check them out on every platform: Spotify, iTunes, Anchor, Facebook. They do
just about everywhere podcasts are found. Yeah.
They do a weekly show on Facebook and YouTube too.
and Stitcher and all that stuff. Yeah, or I think it's called Stitcher. Yeah, we're on Stitcher, but also the other one is Twitch. The gatherings, the video is on Twitch as well, YouTube and Facebook, of course. So yeah, it's all over the place. Arrow sets that stuff up because I mean I have to have him in here to figure out how to push a button to make the camera work. Yeah, he's the tech savvy one, not me. So but man, we sure do appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. Definitely thank the Mountain Mysteries host Chris Slone for being on. Definitely want to thank him for being on. Check out his amazing podcast, man. It's one of the best podcasts out there. And y'all have a good night, and God bless.